Hello, veterans, everybody out there in YouTube land. Hey, welcome back to the Veteran Land YouTube channel. We're going to talk about some more VA disability. I apologize, this is not our normal Tuesday video. I did not get this out there or recorded right away. We've been honestly really focused in on helping as many veterans as we can before the new year comes around, so that even the team here can have some time with their family for the holidays. So we're working really hard. We've got a lot of denials coming out of the VA as if the VA is going on vacation or something here. Some of the worst stuff, unfortunately, I've seen, and we're doing everything we can to get those veterans that service connection and those entitled benefits. So my apologies again for the late video, but let's get some information out still. I'm always your friendly VA credit attorney, Matthew Lang, here to talk about that VA disability, in hopes of making the VA disability process smoother between veterans and VA alike. Now, most of the time I'm going to be talking in my videos to both veterans and VA because I want the knowledge to be spread across to everyone, and then in turn accept the comments so that we can learn from each other as well. For this video, I'm going to just give a real summary, actually, of these proposed VA mental health ratings that are expected. These are questions that I've been getting over the years and still recently getting, as I know there's a lot of information out there. Videos are being made by other professionals about these proposed changes. I think there's a little bit of worry about these proposed changes, so I want to just go through in one general nutshell and give you kind of what I see of these proposed changes and what we're looking at really quick. Not in an attempt to muddy the water by any means, just add kind of additional information and hopefully kind of settle some of the concerns that anybody may have over these changes, whether you be in the VA or whether you be a veteran that is concerned about being affected by these changes. So what am I talking about? There were proposed changes back in February of 2022. February 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching January of 2026, which puts us nearly 4 years since this proposal came out. Now, the first thing I want everybody to understand is government is not designed to work quickly. There's a whole process in the background that we're not going to put in this video, but a whole process in the background where these laws are proposed and there's a bunch of discussion and eventually we get there. Now, I think the most discouraging part for this one is that they were supposed to be published, the final ruling and all these proposals done and published in the CFR in 2025, well, this year. Those dates have come and gone. Now we're looking at maybe we'll see them in 2026, but we don't know that for sure. Nothing has been officially put out, to my knowledge. If somebody's got something official, please throw it in the comments for us all to see, and let us know what is out there. But right now, we don't have any clue to when these changes are going to take effect. Do I expect them to eventually take effect? Yes. My experience working in the VA is that when we have these law changes like this, it's not uncommon for a series of years or a number of years actually to go by. And I feel like there was sections before, maybe even the musculoskeletal before it changed. I really feel like that they talked about that for like 10 years. It may just felt that way, but it was a really long time before the change finally did occur. So do I expect these to change tomorrow? No. But let's get an idea of what we're looking at, though, when they do change. So here's the big picture. The VA is going to move away from a rating based on a laundry list of symptoms. So as you recall, the CFR right now has 100% to 70% to 50%, 30%, 10%, 0%. Ultimately, each section is based upon a list of symptoms. Now, it's not an all-inclusive list, even though VA, unfortunately, we see you treat it that way, because that's what you're trained to do, and we get it. But the idea is that we're going to move away from this list of symptoms. We're going to move away from the symptoms and move more into a rating based on functionality, which it already really should have been, and by the rules, in my professional opinion. But the goal is ultimately to better measure how the disability actually impacts you, veterans, and your ability to work and earn a living. So your earning capacity, ultimately. Again, yeah, this sounds familiar, doesn't it? It sounds like what the original rule was already supposed to be looking at, right? Total occupational impairment or and social impairment or occasional or however it was listed on each evaluation. So let's just keep in mind, though, the goal is still always make it better. That's the whole purpose of the change of the rules. So the new system is really inspired by the World Health Organization Disability Assessment Schedule 2.0 and the DSM-5. So it would seem to me that at this point we're trying to, in the realm of making these changes, trying to keep up with the new science, the new technology, the new medicine, and the medical world in general. As always, it's always exciting for me to work with VA disability because there's a legal and a medical side, and it can be a challenge to make them talk. So I think that's what we're seeing here. We're ultimately seeing how we're trying to make the two worlds come together better, at least for this mental health piece. Now, the idea is instead of checking off symptoms, like so you go get your VA exam done, for example, veterans, you get your DBQ, there's check boxes on it. The examiner checks the boxes. The rater, DRO, or whoever goes in, sees the boxes checked, and they just check boxes on their screen that matches these boxes, and then they give you a decision. I think the idea is to get away from that. Ultimately, the VA will evaluate veterans on your impairment in 5 specific areas. They're going to call domains. The examiners will assign a score from 0, which is no impairment, to 4, which is a total impairment. So see, we're still got kind of very similar with what we already have in the CFR. 100% is a total impairment, and a 0% currently is, well, no impairment. We're going to see these similarities. So you're probably still asking me, what's the changes then? What's the hype? Good question. Let's see if we can find it here. Now, they're supposed to look like something like this. This is what's proposed. You're going to have a cognitive kind of level, a thinking, a concentration, a memory, a planning, and making decisions. You're going to have an interpersonal interactions. This is going along with others, participating in society, social functioning. You're going to have task completion, the ability to finish a task, particularly in work or school environments. Life activities will be another spot that will be looked at. Handling daily routines, navigating environments, and managing domestic responsibilities. And then self-care, hygiene, dressing, eating, and taking care of, well, your own self. These are the domains and how they're projected to look in short here. So let's see if we can hash it out even further on what we're looking at for these proposals. So the new rating formula, the new math. So this is the most exciting part for veterans because it aims to make ratings more consistent. That's the whole idea here. And potentially higher, which is a really good benefit to have. We'll be working on, again, that newer medicine, that newer understanding in order to get that higher evaluation. The rating is determined by frequency and intensity of impairment in the above domains that I already spoke about. It sounds good to me. I mean, because I think that's one thing that we do see a lot in the claims now, is no one's really considering the ups and the downs and the intensity on this day or that day and the waxing and waning, as we may call it. So perhaps we got something here. So ultimately what we're going to see is 100% rating is going to require a score of 4 total impairment in 1 or more domains, or a score of 3 for severe impairment in 2 or more domains. So you're looking at the idea of either you meet all the domains, you have you've got it all going on there, veterans, or you have just a couple of those sections that we talked about, those domains above that are maybe 2 or more of them that leave you impaired and could reach you to 100%. Now, I would say that this makes the 100% more accessible by a long shot, just by the way the VA is trained now and the way the things are looked at. So keep that in mind. This could be a good benefit from all these proposals, in my professional opinion here. Then you've got the 70% line. Requires a score of 3 in one domain, or a score of 2 in 2 or more domains. So you kind of see how it's working out here. We break down the domains. We break down the idea of still some symptomology, perhaps the functionality of those symptoms, and we put them into how many of those are impairing veterans, and then we add that percentage to it, or we give that percentage to it at this rate. You do have a 50% line, again, requires a score of 2 in one domain. 30% requires a score of 1 in 2 or more domains. 10%, it's a new minimum. We're taking away the 0%. So if you have a diagnosed service-connected mental disorder, the minimum rating will be now 10% instead of 0%. So that's a +2. We're seeing the proposal give the bump up already with that. Now, I understand this may not make total sense at all in this video. So what I'm going to do is, in the description, I'm going to leave you the link of the actual proposals so you can read them yourself, go through them, get comfortable with them, kind of get a feel of what's going on. I know, again, there's a lot of information out there, but I think it'd be helpful for you veterans and VA to see it for yourself as well and draw your own thoughts about it. Now, here's some other key changes really quick. We do have eating disorders that do land in the mental health arena too, that we don't see as often in my experience with the VA. But there is a section in the eating disorders. The separate rating formula for eating disorders is being removed. So you have a general formula for pretty much all mental health, and then there's actually another section if you have an eating disorder that comes out of away from that general, and to give that evaluation. So they're going to remove that section altogether now, that extra eating disorder. Now, these conditions will now be rated under the same general formula. So all they're really doing is pushing it back up, and again, going to make that easier, ultimately, in my opinion here, professional opinion, to get evaluated for even the eating disorders. So everything's going to be lumped together: PTSD, depression, anxiety. It's all going to be, sounds like one general formula. Medication is another key change here. The proposal notes that examiners should consider the effects of the medication. This means that they might rate you based on your symptoms. Veterans, VA might rate you on your symptoms while on medication through the impact of this specific note is ultimately debated. I think this is something else we do see, and we argue a lot when it comes to other sections of the law. We want to be healthy at the same time, so we want to really go to the doctor. We want to get the medication. We want to get the treatment. We want to, again, ultimately, I think, at least for many of us, be healthy. And when you do that, yes, it's going to have certain effects on your symptoms, like improvement of those symptoms. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? No. So there is still some debate going on, it sounds like, on how they want to handle that inside the mental health section. Because we definitely don't want to discourage anybody from treatment. And we want to make sure that you get your, well, I say we, as I know I do, but the federal government and the VA, I know from my experience in working with them, would ultimately be wanting veterans to receive the proper treatment and the healthcare to be better, and actually to receive the proper evaluation for your benefits as well. So medication, there's some other key changes going on there. Just keep that in mind as well. There's a pyramiding note I noticed that reaffirms that you cannot get separate ratings for multiple mental health conditions, so separate ratings for PTSD and depression. They're combined into a single rating to avoid pyramiding, but that's really always been the case. It's just always the way it's worked anyways. So I don't know how much of a change that really is, but it was just something I noted out of everything there. So here we go. let's look at one other thought here. I think I left off my notes. Oh no, here we go. Let's talk about the summary of the impact here, the good versus the bad. These are laying into more of the questions that I receive here. So I think we've talked about this already. The good sounds like an easier path to the 100%. Veterans, you won't need to be totally unable to function in every area to get the 100%. The severe impairment in just 2 areas would be enough. So it would seem to me that's reducing down the amount of disability or the number of symptoms you really need to reach that 100%. There's no more 0%. There's no more 0%. It's definitely a good move. They're already showing the intent to have the higher evaluation for the mental health now by taking away that 0% and starting at 10%. So every service-connected diagnosis will get at least 10%, which is helpful for you veterans with a little bit of extra money in your back pocket to help you with the things you need. This is going to be more objective, I would say, is a good thing too. Less reliance on the C&P examiner's subjective opinion of the symptoms, and more focus on what veterans you're able to do or not to do, what you can or cannot do. I think it's really been the intent of the law originally that way, but over time we've kind of got away from that, and this is going to help push us back into let's see what can you do, veterans, and what can you not do based upon the disability. So looks like a good thing to me as well there. Now, here's this is the question that I'm getting a lot. Now, understand these are proposals; these aren't law yet. So I do get questions like, how's the new laws going to affect my disability benefits? Well, right now they're not going to affect it at all. The idea is that this is proposed. We don't know when it's going to start yet. At least I am not aware of an official start date anymore since those dates have passed. So right now, veterans, if you file a claim for mental health, it's going to fall underneath the criteria that's currently published. The criteria that we've been working with for years, the same symptoms issue based. Total impairment of social occupation, all that good stuff. Now, as long as that's the case, you really have to decide, are you going to fit this criteria, this current criteria, not this proposed criteria, for an increase, and is that the way you want to go? Now, that's totally up to you, the facts of your case, your situation, and I would definitely recommend, again, seeking some additional help with that if you're unsure. VA-accredited attorneys like myself, VA-accredited agents, and VSOs as well. Whoever you're comfortable with, is what I would recommend there. So keep in mind that right now this is proposed. It's not affecting anything. Now, the question I really do get, though, I think is the biggest concern, is what happens to my disability rating or evaluation for mental health when the proposals come into effect. So veterans, I want you to understand that the laws have protections for you. The laws protect you from the changes. If they happen to negatively impact your rating, which I don't think is going to be the case at all in this one. But the idea is that as long as you've got an evaluation right now underneath the current laws, when the laws change, that evaluation is not going to get pulled and re-looked at underneath the new law. The VA is not going to be out there trying to figure out what your new evaluation is underneath the new law. That evaluation stays underneath the old law. This proposal does not have any retroactive back and forth. Let's go see what the evaluation should be now. Nothing like that. You'll be evaluated underneath the old law. It'll stay that way. That'll be protected. Now, the idea, though, is if you go in for an increase after the laws change, you could be exposed to the new laws, which, again, is expected to be actually a really good thing here, because it should be easier to get the higher evaluations the way these proposals are set. But I do caution, though, it may not happen that way at first. There's still going to be a learning curve for the VA. There always is. It's just the way it works in the system. So what you got to keep in mind there, veterans, now, what I'm trying to get at is, if you have an increase and it fits underneath the new law at that point, you would expect the increase. And you're going to now move underneath the new law entirely. Now, if the new law doesn't show for some weird reason the increase, then the way the laws are designed now is that that evaluation you currently have will remain underneath the old evaluation. It's not going to change at all. You're protected again underneath the old criteria at the level you're at. So VA is supposed to give you the evaluation that's more underneath the laws that are more advantageous to you underneath certain limitations. Like they're not going to increase your evaluation based upon old law when the new law is in, but they will not reduce, not supposed to reduce the old evaluation if for some reason the new criteria doesn't give you that increase. All right. So those are the big things that I've got out of this for you. I wouldn't panic at all. Again, the current ratings are safe. I wouldn't worry about it. Me personally and professionally here would say this is something good to know. Like I said, it's already been out for nearly 4 years. Read up on it. Be prepared for the change in any way you can or you think you need to be. But do know that your current ratings are safe. They're not going to change anything. Keep an eye out for the final rule when it's published. Again, not quite sure when that is, but when it does happen, might be the time to file an increase because it might be more advantageous. But again, that's the facts of your case. I can't advise you on here. I would definitely speak to a representative. Again, that's me. Wonderful. If it's another credit, be an attorney, agent, or VSO, that's wonderful as well. Veterans, I just want you to get the help you need. And ultimately, VA, I'm also here for you to answer questions that you need. For any training issues that you come across, I understand there might be a fine line there. But understand, we're here to help each other. We're all on the same mission. We just want to get the veterans what they're rightfully entitled to after years of service and the injuries that they have incurred. So thank you, everybody, for being here with me. Apologies again on not making the Tuesday video. I'm going to work on some other stuff here. We're going to come back with some other small, fun holiday videos. Hopefully, if I can get those squeezed in, and we're gonna try to enjoy the last part of this year as we work hard and finish it out. So, hope to see you all in those videos as well. And until then, have a wonderful day.